think it's a theory of evolution, and I don't accept it, as a theory. But I think the creator that I know, created us, each and every one of us, and created the universe, and the precise time and manner and all. I just don't think we're at the point where anybody has absolute truth on either side.
I believed in term limitations. I didn't think we should have professional politicians. I also put out a political type of business investment newsletter. It sort of covered all these areas. And it covered a lot about what was going on in Washington. And
where you referred to disturbances in Washington's Adams Morgan as animals taking over the D.C. Zoo, referring to African Americans. You said that Martin Luther King seduced underage girls and boys. You talked about Ronald Reagan proclaiming annual Hate Whitey Day with Martin Luther King Day. And you advocated prohibiting AIDS patients from eating in restaurants. These things were published under your name. It kind of comes back to bite you that you made money off of things that were published under your name that were hateful and racist.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Ron Paul is running for president. I mean, he says FEMA just gets in the way and that wastes money and it tells people they can't go home. I mean, what do you think about this political debate about FEMA and the federal role in disaster response? I mean, and quite frankly, talk about, dollar for dollar. If you're going to fund FEMA, you got to take a dollar from somewhere else.
I think he's an idiot.
That's blunt. That's quite blunt. You're saying you need FEMA.
We're spending $900 million a week in wars, and he's arguing about whether we should spend some amount of money. FEMA now has a currently $900 million budget available to it. This is a ridiculous conversation. Really don't understand what he's talking about, and I'm not sure he does.
The flooding of the Mississippi has caused terrible destruction in the heartland of America. But you said the other day that the government should play no role in bailing out people who live in hurricane zones or flood zones. Let's watch.
If it's too dangerous, why dump the responsibility on the taxpayer? It doesn't make economic sense. It doesn't make good moral sense. It doesn't make constitutional sense.
You talk about big government and how opposed you are to it, but you seem to have a different attitude about your own congressional district. For example, the Congress decided to send billions of dollars to victims of Hurricane Katrina. Guess how Ron Paul voted? Quote, is bailing out our people that chose to live on the coastline a proper function of the federal government, he asked, and you said no. And yet this, Paul's current district, which includes Galveston and reaches into the Brazoria County, draws a substantial amount of federal flood insurance payments for your own congressional district. This is the Houston Chronicle. Representative Ron Paul has long crusaded against a big central government, but he also represented a congressional district that's consistently among the top in Texas in its reliance on dollars from Washington. In the first 9 months of the federal government's 2006 fiscal year, it received more than $4 billion. And they report, the Wall Street Journal, 65 earmarked targeted projects, $400 million, that you have put into congressional bills for your district, which leads us to the Congressional Quarterly, the earmark dossier of Dr. No. There isn't much that Dr. Ron Paul thinks the federal government should do. Apparently, though, earmarks for his district are okay.